Hey, Max here. I just got out of work and I have to cover this. I want to cover this. And I also have a lot of friends that um can be frustrated when I'm covering this stuff. I am going to try to keep DC, David Zaslav, James Gunn as much as I can off of live streams unless it's necessary. And I don't want to talk. Some people may have misconstrued my take last night. I don't want James Gunn to get in these Twitter battles because I don't want to keep covering James Gunn every day in a Twitter battle, even if he's right. I need to clarify that. And I don't just say he should shut up. I think, there's certain things that he's saying on Twitter are good. I don't say just shut up. I don't want to also have the focus on DC not to be on the characters Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman and the slate of movies. And unfortunately, these last 2 weeks, it's been everything but that. But this video here is about the lies of David Zaslav that we have to cover and we have to talk about because you were lied to. He lied to all of us, including the investors. And that needs to be discussed. And he had his own Kathy Kennedy moment. And I am going to consistently use that parallel because, unfortunately, whether you realize it or not, this is an event on the level of the sequel trilogy and Rian Johnson and Luke Skywalker, except this time, not only did you not get Luke Skywalker that you were expecting, they at least gave you Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. Now, you're not getting the Justice League, the JSA, and all these characters. And you're not going to see their story. So, on whether you want to admit it or not, this is a huge event.
Warning, this video contains rumors, speculation, strong opinions,
Okay, first, let's get to this infamous meeting right when it was announced that Kathy Kennedy was taking over for George Lucas and the promise that she made to George and everyone else in this little sit-down meeting. I'm not going to show the whole clip, but just the important parts. And then we're going to go to the investor call. And I think there's supposed to be an year-end call as well, but I don't know if that's going to happen or if that's pushed to the beginning of the new year. I'm not sure. But here is Kathy right after George. And pay attention to this because it's very, very similar to the way Zaslav. They're just doing their job. They're trying to make you feel confident, but unfortunately, already Zaslav is caught lying.
Sitting in there.
The main thing is to protect these characters, make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them, and that the universe of Star Wars continues to grow.
I get to be a fan now, which is what I was saying before, and I should look forward to it. It's a lot more fun actually than actually having to go out in the mud. And
you can actually blog about what we're doing and how we're messing.
Now, I actually, to give Kathy credit there, I think she tried harder than Zaslav. I think Zaslav promised things to the investors on the investor call, and he just gave up. He just gave up because he said we're going to make these movies, this slate. He's talking about The Flash and Aquaman, and we're going to make it. We're going to put everything we can to make these great movies. Where it seems now that they've abandoned them. They've abandoned these movies. This is from the investor call. This is the first question on the investor call.
Telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, please press star followed by the number 2. Please stand by for your first question. Your first question will come from Brian Kraft at Deutsche Bank. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Let's ask two if I could. I guess first, David, there's a lot of reporting in the press about film dates being delayed and, of course, the canceling of
film dates being delayed, Batgirl being canceled. I never cheered on Batgirl being canceled. I keep having to tell people, I said back then, for all my Snyder contemporaries fans, if he could cancel Batgirl, nothing is really safe. But this is the promise he made to reassure this person in the investor call that they're going to do their best by the end with the end of this slate. And this is a fucking disaster. I told everyone, my opinion is maybe you could do this and pull this off if you didn't have a slate of movies yet to be released or promoted and trailers out. But with the movies yet to be released, this is a fucking disaster. And he did not follow through with his promises on these slate of movies. They're basically being abandoned and things being taken out of them. And that is not, I guess it's subjective, but that's not to the benefit of each individual project.
Batgirl. I think that film in particular was almost completed. Can you just talk about the reason for the decision?
And this is the reason why this is important to cover now. This was the first question on the investor call, which everyone was concerned about after Batgirl. And I really want to discuss too, RJ, I love you, bro. You alluded that the Hollywood is behind this decision. I don't think so. I don't think I don't think everyone's behind this decision. There's a lot of people that are going to be very upset in the industry with this decision. This impacts a lot of people. I don't understand why I'm the most consistent mother effer here. I don't like it when it happened to animation. I don't like when it happened to Batgirl, and I certainly don't like it now where it really impacts my fandom of these characters and projects. And I do feel like these movies are being hung up to dry and being they're being bastardized. I'm looking for a better word, but a skeleton of what they could have been when we were promised that they were going to be taken care of and that they were confident in these projects that had yet to be released.
So Batgirl, was it an issue? And what's happening more broadly, Warner Brothers film business, changes you might be making, and particularly the direction you're taking with the DC universe? And then just had one for JB on the FAST product. Is the intent there to offer the FAST service in Western markets like the US where consumers are accustomed to paying for content? Or will it be more limited to markets where you've got, where you would have a low penetration of paid services and therefore, a way of building penetration where you might not otherwise achieve it? Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Well, let me start with the fact that the Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group has fantastic IP and a great history, as you know, where they're turning 100. And between DC,
he's not lying there. He's not.
The animation group, together with the entire Warner library, our ambition is to bring Warner back and to produce great, high-quality films. And as we look at the opportunities that we have broadly, DC is one of the top of the list for us. So
why is this so important to discuss now about DC? If they can't get DC right, it's very concerning about all other properties that Warner Brothers owns. They can't even get DC right. How do you have any confidence in all the other projects besides just DC? This is the top of the list. He said top of the list. And it's being the projects are being left as is and things taken out of the project, no more funds taking in. Now I know people are going to say, well, they can't afford it. Okay, I understand. But they promised. He promised here. These were a priority. The slate was going to be taken care of. And I don't have any confidence in this slate, the promotion or anything. It seems like a freaking disaster and a long divorce. And this is where I meant. Now, what is me criticizing going to do? Is it going to bring anything back? No, it's done. It's done. But I have to tell you that I'm not confident, and I have every right to criticize this, especially when we're lied to.
You look at Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. These are brands that are known everywhere in the world, and the ability to drive those all over the world with great story is a big opportunity for us. We have done a reset. We've restructured the business where we're going to focus, where there will be a team with a 10-year plan focusing just on DC. It's very similar to the structure that Alan Horn and Bob Iger put together very effectively.
Now this part sounds good. You know, he's got Gunn on board now for this 10-year plan
with Kevin Feige at Disney. We think that we could build a long-term, much stronger, sustainable growth business out of DC. And as part of that, we're going to focus on quality. We're not going to release any film before it's ready.
That I think is where he starts to lie. Now I don't want these movies abandoned and hid away like Batgirl, but it seems like that these movies are going to be released as is. The marketing is going to be a disaster. I would be shocked if a lot of people show up when they have no confidence that they're going to see a sequel. People aren't going to rush out. And he said they are not going to release them unless they're ready. I don't think even... I think these films are being abandoned. And we'll be lucky if they get released, honestly. But I think they're being abandoned. The storylines are not relevant anymore. And they're not giving the care and attention that they deserve. That the creatives that created Aquaman, Shazam 2, The Flash, they all deserve better to not have the legs cut under them with the poor social media activity of James Gunn to cancel any chance they have of success because of this disastrous PR.
We're not going to release a film to make a quarter. We're not going to release a film under the focus is going to be how do we make each of these films in general as good as possible.
Yes. Each of these films in general as good as possible. That's an important part to hear. And I think he's lying because, or maybe that was his intention at the time, but it's not there now. It's sad. It's sad to say that I don't even know if I'm going to go to the theater for these movies. I think if there's one that I'm still going to go see, it's Aquaman 2. Because I really trust in James Wan and Jason Momoa. And the first one's amazing. But these projects are being abandoned.
But DC is something that we think we could make better, and we're focused on it now. We have some great DC films coming up, Black Adam, Shazam, and Flash. And we're working on all of those. We're very excited about them. We've seen them. We think they're terrific, and we think we could make them even better.
See, this is another lie. He did say we think we can make them better. It was almost like maybe people were saying that was a suggestion. Things change. I can hear the critics of this video right now. But he's not trying to make them better now. Not at all.
And that's what Mike and Pam and the team are doing, and focusing on that.
Now some people may say, well, Abdi and DeLuca, they did things. They were doing their job. based on what he said here, they were doing their job to try to make these films potentially more profitable and more relevant. And he went back on his word already. So why do you still trust this man? Why do you have any trust in the future where he abandons his word so quickly? Now, with context, every studio isn't as bad a position as Warner Brothers Discovery is now, but every studio struggles to make profits. And what he will throw under the bus, abandoned, and forget about, I feel this man has no more backbone. No backbone, and I don't trust him. I'm sorry. Based on what he says here in the recent events. Do you know, if the rumors are to be true, do you know how quickly that things changed? Within the same week, they had Henry Cavill announce his return. 2 days later, like within a few days, James Gunn has announced the new DC. That means they changed their word within 2 freaking days. If it's accurate, if those reports are accurate, because that's where we've heard consistently from multiple sources that they decided as soon as Gunn was hired on, they decided they were no longer going with the Cavill and the Rock and all that. 2 days, they changed their mind. That's how fragile these executives are, how reactionary they are. So when they promise you a 10-year plan and they change on a dime in 2 days and have such mixed messaging, and then people want to blame The Rock and they want to blame Mike DeLuca and PM Abdi, when in this investor call, he said, we have Mike DeLuca and PM Abdi working on this to beef up these projects. And then everyone else, now a lot of people are putting the blame on The Rock and PM Abdi and Mike DeLuca, where if you go by what these words in these calls, is that The Rock and PM Abdi and Mike DeLuca were working together to beef up the future of DCU. And now everyone wants to blame him that he tried to get the Superman in his movie. If you're trying to beef these up and focus on making the best product possible, why would you not bring fucking Superman into it? And now everyone wants to blame him that he used it. Yes, he used it to give the best option and the best opportunities for success. And they were doing their job. And from this investor call, I believe David Zaslav's word means nothing.
Strategically, we've looked hard at the director streaming business. We've seen, luckily, by having access now to all the data, how director streaming movies perform. And our conclusion is that expensive director streaming movies, in terms of how people are consuming them on the platform, how often people go there or buy it, or buy a service for it, and how it gets nourished over time, is no comparison.
Sorry, I just want to hear the rest. I think there's like 2 more minutes if there's something relevant. So might as well finish up the last few minutes here.
To what happens when you launch a film in the motion picture, in the theaters. And so this idea of expensive films going direct to streaming, we cannot find an economic case for it. We can't find an economic value for it. And so we're making a strategic shift. As part of that, we've been out in the town talking about our commitment to the theatrical exhibition and the theatrical window. A number of movies will be launched with shorter windows. Some might have different kinds of marketing.
Like Black Adam. Like everyone's like, oh, Black Adam's a fail. Well, yeah, they planned shorter windows. It still did not succeed where it needed to, though.
Campaigns where we take advantage of us having the biggest platform and a platform that all motion picture companies look for. But we'll always be agile. Our focus will be on theatrical. And when we bring the theatrical films to HBO Max, we find they have substantially more value. And we have an ecosystem where we can have the premier motion picture business. That's why most people move to Hollywood. That's why most people got in this business. to be on the big screen when the lights went out, and that is the magic. And the economic model is much stronger. And the other thing is that we're going to focus very hard on quality. I said we're not going to launch a movie.
That's where I also think where he's not keeping his word. I don't feel quality with this slate of movies that he promised was very good. Shazam 2, Flash, Aquaman. When he's talking about quality, I say bullshit. I say bullshit to just leave them bare bones now. Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca were doing their job to beef up these movies, to give them their best opportunity. Now they're being left out to dry, bare bones skeletons of what they could have been, without any connection or potential for moving on in the future. This is why I've consistently said I think this could have worked, but not when you got a year and slate full of movies, a long freaking divorce with battles on Twitter every freaking day. This is a disaster on epic proportions. And it is over. I'm not delusional. It's over. But I'm not going to not sit here and say, well, these were lies.
Movie until it's ready. We're not going to launch a movie to make a quarter, and we are not going to release a movie, and we're not going to put a movie out unless we believe in it.
See? And that is also where I think he is lying too. If they release the movies as is, bare bones, with things removed, without any potential integration and continuation for the next 10 years, without finishing a story, I think he's lying here.
And that's it. I mean, and particularly with DC, where we think we want to pivot and we want to elevate and we want to
elevate and focus.
And Brian, on Fast, two quick comments. Number one is just a reminder that as we look at that space.
Okay. That's all for this video. I will continue to cover things because I'm interested, because I care. I think it's relevant, and I think you need to hear. And I don't want to cancel your hope for the future of DC, but I got to be real, and I got to cover the news. And I think if you disagree with me, let me know in the comment section below if you think those were lies. I do. I honestly do. I'm not spinning it for a video. I believe that but the way that they have abandoned these films after they delayed them to beef them up, give them their best opportunity, is the worst case scenario. And giving a year with all this activity that's not about the films themselves and not about their new slates is horrendous, detrimental, and I'm sad. I'm sad about it. I'll stop the video here. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a great day. And I'm not rooting against Gunn either. If he announces a slate and it's very positive and it sounds great, I'll try my best to be open to it. I will. But I don't have that optimism now. And it's mainly because of those words that were told to investors there that I already think he's backtracked on. And I think that should be covered. I'll talk to you later soon. Bye.